Is North Korea going to join the Ukraine war? North Korean army casualties in Ukraine raises speculation. In June 2024, Russia and North Korea signed a mutual defense pact, reinstating a defensive alliance that ended with the collapse of the Soviet Union on December 26, 1991. Russia and North Korea still maintain favorable relations after the collapse of the Soviet Union, but over the last decade, the relationship has been getting closer and accelerating since the start of the Ukraine war. North Korea in 2023 agreed to sell missiles and artillery ammunition to Russia as the war in Ukraine dragged into its third year. Although the nature of the assistance North Korea received remained undisclosed, there was suspicion that it would involve technical military assistance for its military and weapons programs. The cooperation resulted in the signing of a defense pact in Pyongyang, which not only pledges mutual assistance in the event of an attack, but also appears to have enlisted North Korea to support Russia in its war in Ukraine. The unanswered question about the defense treaty is whether it would require that North Korea actively assist Russia in its military operations in Ukraine. Both North Korea and Russia were non-committal to that question, but North Korea made public that it would be sending 2 to 4 Army engineer brigades to Russian-occupied parts of Donbass to assist the reconstruction efforts. Publicly, this was not to be a combat mission, and North Korean troops were to stay out of the combat zone and focus on rebuilding the infrastructure in Donetsk. Russia reportedly will pay the North Koreans up to $115 million a year for the presence of its Army engineering brigades. Officially, Russia would not use the North Korean engineering brigades in combat, but their availability to free up Russian forces for the front was a significant advantage. A Ukraine missile strike on a Russian ammunition storage facility in Russian-occupied Donetsk last week confirmed the deaths of 6 North Korean army officers and the wounding of 3 others. South Korea released reports following the confirmation of casualties, revealing that the North Korean army units were undergoing infantry training under Russian leadership and had suffered additional casualties due to their deployment being closer to the front lines. The North Korean casualty reports did not specify whether these casualties were from the engineering units already assigned to Ukraine. The South Korean government has also issued a warning indicating that more North Korean army units are likely to be on their way to Ukraine. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov has denied the claims, which they stated as, quote, fake news, end quote. Kim Yo-jong, the sister of North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un, went even further in the denial with the typical North Korean flair by stating, quote, the absurdity of accusing our country of being an accomplice to the war in Ukraine, where the evil Zelensky gang is slaughtering innocent Russians using junk weapons supplied by the U.S. and the West, is a reckless political provocation that cannot be justified by anything, end quote. Russia's microbloggers reported that the North Korean soldiers were visiting the front lines as part of a program to show North Korean soldiers and officers the Russian prepared defensive positions and the assault techniques. This would be expected if North Koreans assumed Russian frontline positions facing the Ukraine's positions. This activity, along with North Korean casualty, feeds the narrative from President Zelensky and the South Korean Defense Ministry. U.S. intelligence does report that there are dozens of North Korean officers assisting Russians in firing North Korean missiles into Ukraine. Ukraine President Zelensky, returning from Europe where he pressed for more aid, returned to Kyiv and stated that North Korea was sending troops to Ukraine to fight alongside the Russian army. He then added that Ukraine needed more military support, including longer-range weapons, to prevent the Ukraine war from becoming a, quote, bigger war, end quote. It is unclear what additional weapons he is requesting beyond those he requested during his visit to Europe last week, or if he is attempting to instill a sense of urgency for the delivery of the weapons and a swift decision on relaxed usage rules. Despite the numerous attention-grabbing headlines on the subject, the only verifiable information is that the missile strike in Ukraine claimed the lives of 6 North Korean officers and injured 3 others. All other reports, speculative and unsubstantiated, fail to specify the number of casualties or additional presence in occupied Ukraine. The defense alliance between North Korea and Russia remains ambiguous, raising doubts about North Korea's obligations to send soldiers to assist Russia. North Korea may send troops to support Russia, but they will expect something in return for their efforts, not solely based on the stipulations of the defense treaty. North Korea is too poor and too ambitious to be able to offer its soldiers to a war without something in return. Both Ukraine and Russia use foreign volunteers for their armies in this war, so the introduction of foreign forces is neither unusual or necessarily exclutory. The difference lies in the fact that the rumor of North Korean military deployments proves to be true. It would mark the first time a foreign country has dispatched entire military units of the North Korean armed forces, thereby entering the war as an official party. Despite the initial announcement being more alarming than actual deployment of North Korean troops, it appears that North Korea's involvement will increase if Russia can provide Kim Jong-un with the assistance he seeks for his weapons programs. North Korea is already a major arms supplier, providing technical assistance, and is ramping up war production at home to support Russia. So it would not be too much of a stretch to expect North Korea to offer combat units in support of the war.